My stepmother grounded me, in front of 30 relatives, like I was still a child. She smiled while taking my car keys and my phone. Everyone laughed like it was normal. But what they didn't know was, I had been waiting for this moment for months. Because when her lawyer walked in, everything she thought she controlled started falling apart. If you enjoy intense family drama with shocking twists, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. This story gets darker and more intense with every minute. So stay till the end. Welcome back to the channel. Today's story is about betrayal, control, and a secret that destroys an entire family gathering. I still remember the way that evening looked, too perfect to be real. The Carter family estate was glowing under golden lights. 30 relatives filled the backyard, laughing, drinking, taking pictures like it was just another celebration. But for me, it felt like a stage. And I already knew I was the main act. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 24, a software engineer, and according to everyone in this house, still too young to be trusted. Especially according to her. Victoria Carter, my stepmother. She stood near the center of the patio, like she owned the air itself. Perfect hair, perfect dress, perfect smile. The kind of woman people believe without questioning. The kind of woman who never raises her voice, because she never needs to. My father, Robert, stood beside her. Quiet. Passive. Like always. I should have felt safe in this house. But I didn't. Because I knew Victoria didn't bring me here for a celebration. She brought me here for control. Emily, she called out suddenly, her voice sweet enough to fool everyone. Can you come here for a second? 30 heads turned toward me. I walked forward slowly. That's when she did it. She reached into her designer bag and pulled out my car keys. I think it's time we address your behavior, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. You've been irresponsible lately. So you're grounded. A few relatives laughed. Someone even whispered, she's still doing that? My cheeks burned, but I didn't react. Victoria continued, enjoying every second. Phone. Credit cards. Everything. Hand them over, Emily. She held out her hand like I was a teenager. And that's when something unexpected happened. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I simply looked at her and smiled. That smile confused her for half a second. I saw it. Because she expected tears. Or anger. Or humiliation. Not silence. I slowly placed my phone in her hand. The crowd laughed again, thinking I had accepted defeat. But inside me, everything was calm. Because I knew something no one else in that yard knew. This wasn't punishment. This was the beginning of her downfall. And just as Victoria raised her chin in victory, the front gate bell rang. A staff member opened it. And a man in a black suit walked in holding a briefcase. Victoria's smile widened. Oh good, she said. My lawyer is here. But the man didn't smile back. He looked directly at me first. And said, I'm not here for you. The entire yard went silent. And that's when everything started to change. Silence fell over the backyard so fast it felt unnatural. Even the laughter that had been floating around seconds ago just died. The man in the black suit stood near the entrance, briefcase in hand, eyes steady. He didn't move toward Victoria. He didn't greet her. He didn't even acknowledge the polite smile she was trying to force. Instead, his gaze stayed on me. Victoria tilted her head slightly, still confident. Of course you're here, she said smoothly. We were expecting you. Come on, let's not make this awkward. A few relatives chuckled nervously, thinking this was some routine legal visit. But something about the lawyer's expression didn't match that idea. He finally spoke again. I said I'm not here for you. The words landed harder the second time. Victoria's smile flickered. Excuse me. He opened his briefcase slowly, like he had done this exact motion many times before, but never in a situation like this. I was instructed to attend this gathering, he said, by the estate of Sarah Carter. My chest tightened at that name. My biological mother. The name no one in this house liked to mention. Victoria's posture changed instantly. Just slightly, but I noticed. The perfect confidence shifted into something more controlled. That estate has been settled for years, she said sharply. There's nothing left to discuss. The lawyer nodded once. That's where you're incorrect. A murmur went through the relatives. People leaned forward, sensing something was wrong now. Robert finally spoke for the first time, confused. What is this about? The lawyer didn't answer him. Instead, he stepped forward and placed a sealed folder on the table. Before I proceed, he said calmly, I need to confirm something for legal record. He turned slightly toward me. Emily Carter. Are you present voluntarily today? That question made everyone freeze. Victoria's eyes narrowed. What kind of question is that? But I answered before she could stop me. Yes. The lawyer nodded once. Then I am authorized to continue. He opened the folder. Inside were documents, thick ones. Stamped. Official. Old but carefully preserved. Victoria let out a small laugh. If this is some inheritance drama, it's pointless. I handle all family legal matters here. The lawyer looked up at her for the first time directly. That's actually the issue. He slid the first document forward. This estate was never under your control. The words didn't make sense to the room at first. But then he added the next sentence. You were never the legal guardian of Emily Carter. That's when the atmosphere completely changed. Victoria's smile disappeared. And for the first time that night, she looked unsure. For a moment nobody spoke. The kind of silence that followed wasn't normal silence. It was the kind that felt heavy, like the air itself had changed. Victoria stared at the lawyer, then at the documents on the table, then back at him again. That's impossible, she said finally, but her voice wasn't as steady as before. I've raised her since she was a child. I signed everything. I handled everything. The lawyer didn't react emotionally. He just flipped to the next page. Emotionally raising a child does not equal legal guardianship, he said. And it does not override a trust agreement. That word hit differently. Trust. A few relatives leaned closer now, phones lowering, conversations fully stopped. Robert looked confused. What trust are you talking about? The lawyer turned a page slowly. Established by Sarah Carter, 3 weeks before her passing. My breath caught slightly. I already knew my mother had left something behind, but I never knew how far it went. Victoria forced a laugh again, but it came out sharper this time. Sarah died years ago. If there was anything, I would have known. The lawyer looked up at her. That's the assumption you made. He tapped the document. This trust was sealed, time-locked, and legally restricted from all secondary guardianship interference. The words were getting heavier, more technical, but everyone understood the meaning. Restricted, locked, protected. Victoria's expression tightened. That's not how family estates work, she snapped. Robert, tell him. But Robert didn't answer immediately. For the first time, he looked unsure. The lawyer continued. According to this trust, all assets belonging to Sarah Carter were placed under temporary guardianship until Emily Carter turned 24. I felt every word land inside me. Victoria stepped forward. And I was that guardian. The lawyer shook his head once. No. He turned the page again. You were never listed. The backyard erupted in confused whispers. That wasn't supposed to happen. Victoria's voice dropped lower. You're lying. The lawyer's tone stayed calm. If I were lying, Mrs. Carter, your signature would be valid. He slid another document forward. This is the guardianship record. It has only one authorized name. He paused, then looked directly at me. Robert Carter. My father went pale. What? He whispered. Victoria turned slowly toward him. And in that moment, I saw it. Not anger. Not shock. Fear. Because if Robert was the only legal guardian, then Victoria had no authority at all. Over anything. Not me. Not the trust. Not the estate. The lawyer closed the folder slightly. And today, he said, is the day that guardianship legally expires. Victoria's hand trembled slightly as she reached for the table. For the first time all evening, she didn't look like she was in control anymore. The moment those words left the lawyer's mouth, the entire backyard felt like it had tilted. Today the guardianship legally expires. Nobody moved. Not even the relatives who had been whispering seconds ago. Victoria's hand was still resting on the table, but now it looked like she didn't trust her own balance. Robert finally broke the silence. Expires, he repeated, his voice low. What does that even mean? The lawyer calmly adjusted his cuff. It means Emily Carter is no longer under any form of guardianship. Not yours. Not hers. Not anyone's. Victoria's eyes snapped toward him. That's not possible. I've managed her finances for years. The lawyer opened another file without rushing. That's exactly what we needed to verify. He placed a set of printed bank records on the table. The sound of paper hitting wood felt too loud. Over the last 8 years, he continued, there have been multiple unauthorized transfers from the Sarah Carter Trust account. The air changed instantly. Unauthorized. Victoria forced a short laugh, but it sounded hollow now. This is ridiculous, she said quickly. Everything I did was for this family. The lawyer didn't argue. He just pointed at a line on the document. This transfer here, $180,000 labeled as family maintenance. He flipped to the next page. This one $240,000 labeled as educational expansion. Another page. This one $310,000 redirected to a private account under a different name. A murmur spread through the relatives. People weren't laughing anymore. They were calculating. Victoria's face tightened. Those are administrative errors. The lawyer interrupted gently but firmly. No. These are traceable signatures. He slid another document forward. Confirmed forensic audit. Handwriting verification. Digital authorization logs. The word forensic made the entire table go quiet again. Robert leaned forward slightly, his voice shaking now. Victoria, what did you do? That question hit harder than anything else so far. Because it wasn't the lawyer accusing her. It was him. Victoria turned toward him sharply. I did what I had to do to keep this family stable, she snapped, her voice rising for the first time. Do you think raising her was easy? Do you think I didn't sacrifice anything? But her voice cracked at the end. And that crack changed everything. Because now it didn't sound like control. It sounded like panic. The lawyer closed the folder halfway. There is also one more matter, he said quietly. Everyone looked up again. This time, even Victoria didn't interrupt. He placed a final sealed envelope on the table. This contains correspondence from Sarah Carter, written before her passing. My heartbeat slowed. Victoria stared at it like it might explode. Robert whispered, "Open it." The lawyer didn't immediately comply. Instead, he looked at me again and said, "This is the part where everything you believed about your family changes." The sealed envelope sat in the middle of the table, like it had weight beyond paper. No one touched it. Not Victoria. Not Robert. Not even the lawyer immediately. It was strange how something so small could silence 30 people at once. Finally, the lawyer carefully broke the seal. Inside was a single folded letter, slightly yellowed at the edges, like it had been written with intention to survive time itself. He unfolded it slowly. I will read this exactly as written, he said. Then he began. If you are reading this, then my worst fear has either come true, or my plan has succeeded. A shiver ran through the crowd. Victoria's breathing changed. I noticed it immediately. Faster. Shallower. The lawyer continued. My daughter, Emily, will one day be made to feel small in a home that should protect her. And if that ever happens, I trust she will already be strong enough to stand without permission. My throat tightened. I didn't move. I didn't blink. The letter continued. To whoever is in control of my estate. If you are not acting in Emily's best interest, you are no longer acting on my behalf. The lawyer paused briefly, then looked up. This is where the legal clause activates, he said quietly. Victoria's face changed instantly. What clause? She demanded. But the lawyer didn't answer her yet. He kept reading. Any misuse of funds, emotional coercion, or unauthorized guardianship actions will result in immediate termination of all administrative rights. The backyard exploded into whispers again. Now it wasn't confusion. It was realization. Victoria stepped forward sharply. This is ridiculous. A dead woman doesn't control the present. The lawyer finally looked at her. She does when the law is written correctly. He reached into the folder again and pulled out one final document. This is the enforcement order triggered 2 weeks ago. Robert's voice cracked. Triggered by what? The lawyer didn't hesitate. Evidence of financial mismanagement and psychological coercion reported by Emily Carter's independent audit team. All eyes turned toward me. Victoria looked at me too now. But for the first time, not like a mother. Like someone who had just realized she lost control of the narrative. You did this, she whispered. I finally spoke. Not loudly. Not emotionally. Just clearly. Yes. That single word hit harder than anything else that night. Victoria stepped back slightly, like she couldn't process it. The lawyer closed the final file. Effective immediately, he said. Victoria Carter is removed from all financial, legal, and custodial authority over Emily Carter and the Sarah Carter estate. The silence after that statement wasn't empty. It was heavy with consequences. And for the first time in years, Victoria had nothing left to say. For a few seconds after the lawyer's announcement, nobody in the backyard moved. It was like the entire family gathering had turned into a paused moment in time. 30 people frozen in the middle of a truth they didn't know how to react to. Victoria was the first to break. No, she said quietly at first, like she was talking to herself. Then louder. No, this is not real. You can't just show up and erase years of my life. Her voice cracked on the last word. Robert stepped back slightly, looking at her as if he was seeing her for the first time. The lawyer calmly closed his folder. I didn't erase anything, he said. I just enforced what was already written. Victoria turned toward me sharply now. Her eyes weren't confident anymore. They were desperate. You planned this, she said. You let me humiliate myself in front of everyone. I looked at her for a long moment. And for the first time that night, I felt something shift, not anger, not fear, just clarity. I didn't let you do anything, I said softly. You did it yourself. In front of everyone who finally got to see the truth. A murmur ran through the relatives. Some looked away. Some looked uncomfortable. But no one defended her anymore. Because the illusion was gone. Victoria's hands trembled slightly as she tried to regain control of the situation. Robert, say something. But Robert didn't respond immediately. He just stared at the papers on the table. Then at me. Then at her. And slowly he whispered. I didn't know. That was it. The final crack. Victoria's face tightened, and for a second, I thought she might scream. But she didn't. She just stood there, realizing there was nowhere left to stand. The lawyer spoke one last time. All financial access has been revoked. All accounts have been secured. Any further attempts to interfere will result in legal consequences. Then he turned slightly toward me. If you'd like, Emily, I can arrange immediate transfer of full control to you today. I nodded once. Yes. No hesitation. No shaking voice. Just finality. Victoria let out a broken laugh, almost unrecognizable now. So this is it, she said. After everything I did for this family. I cut her off gently. You did everything for control. Not for family. Silence. 30 relatives standing there heard every word. And none of them disagreed. Victoria looked around one last time. Like she was searching for someone, anyone, who would still see her the way she used to be seen. But no one did. Not anymore. She stepped back slowly, her confidence completely gone now. Replaced by something far more human. Loss. The lawyer gathered his briefcase. Before leaving, he said quietly, my work here is done. And then he walked out through the same gate he entered. The backyard slowly started to move again, but nothing felt the same. People began leaving. No laughter. No jokes. No celebration. Just silence. I stood there for a moment longer, looking at the house that had tried to control me for years. Then I turned away. As I walked toward the exit, I heard Victoria behind me, but I didn't stop. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't being grounded. I was finally free,